So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be talking about the Howard University student who denounced Divine 9 Greek life. Now I know this can be a touchy subject, but I did want to weigh in because this was super requested and I've been seeing it everywhere. So members of the National Pan-Hellenic Council, also known as the NPHC, which encompasses 9 historically Black Greek letter organizations, most notably found at college campuses, are in an uproar because of a hefty amount of members denouncing their membership. A young lady named Zora Sanders of the Alpha chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, which is at Howard University in Washington, D.C., joined the organization in April just to denounce her membership less than 30 days later. Like, this is crazy. She ended up catching a lot of heat from members, non-members, alumni, and the general public, and it also created a snowball effect of former members sharing why they are no longer affiliated with the organizations they chose to join, as well as kind of exposing pertinent information about joining these organizations. So came the debate of whether these organizations are of God and Christian principles. And as someone who went to college and I did see Divine 9 Greek life at my school, I just thought that this was interesting and I definitely wanted to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So D9 stands for Divine 9, which again makes up 9 organizations within the National Pan-Hellenic Council. And these organizations were founded by prestigious Black individuals who are very historically and profound in the development of each organization. The majority of these organizations were founded in the early 1900s, have reached centennial status, and they all pretty much center around the development of scholarship, brotherhood or sisterhood, community service, and building traditions. In order to join one of these organizations, you must either be enrolled in a 4-year university, meet a certain GPA requirement, fit the core values of each organization, and also express your interests and be selected. You can also join as an alumni through graduate level chapters if you've matriculated from college and if a chapter is active in your area. These organizations were founded for great reasons in my opinion, because during the time of their inception, there were white sororities and fraternities that rejected Black members, and I feel like these were made to find belonging amongst Black students who needed to be around familiar faces on campuses or felt the need to make a change in their communities. When you think about it, this is all very impressive for the time that it was started in. The oldest Black Greek letter organization is Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which was founded in 1906, so they've been active for well over 100 years. And the organizations include Alpha Phi Alpha, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Delta Sigma Theta, Phi Beta Sigma, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho, and Iota Phi Theta. And that's fraternity or sorority incorporated at the end of all of those because I know my Greek viewers watching need the full name. So I went to college and my school definitely was Greek heavy. At one point, my school had all of the organizations active on campus, and I've made friends throughout the years who are members. I have a lot of men in my family who are Alphas and Sigmas and even Kappas, and I also have women in my family that are Deltas too. One of my closest friends from college is still a Delta, and I remember when she was pursuing membership, this was something that she had as a goal to do since she was in high school in Maryland, which is pretty much the epicenter where a lot of these organizations were founded. A lot of them were founded on HBCU campuses, specifically Howard University, and the Howard Delta chapter is catching a lot of heat due to one member joining and pretty much revoking her membership within 30 days. So again, this young lady's name is Zora Sanders, and she had just joined. Each of these organizations have their own sequence of becoming a member, where one has to show interest, get selected, go through the process of membership intake, and then become an official member. And Zora, after going through, I'm going to assume, a complex effort to become a member, writes a letter denouncing her membership after only being a member for like 2 weeks, and this sent the whole D9 community, and even people who are not a part of it, into a frenzy. Trust me, I've been seeing this all over my TikTok. So let's take a look at what she had to say. So she says, "Greetings to whomever it may concern. I hope this letter finds you well. My name is Zora Sanders, a rising senior at Howard University. I am a spring 2024 initiate of Alpha Chapter Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I am writing this letter to inform nationals that I have officially renounced and denounced membership in the organization. As of May 1st, 2024, I have informed Alpha Chapter of my decision to depart and have appropriately given all paraphernalia / anything affiliated in any capacity back to members of the organization. Before I was invited to join the organization, despite all of the research and information I had gathered, I was not aware of the specific requirements needed to become an official member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. As I detailed these requirements, I want to emphasize that they were my non-negotiables from the beginning, and that while I did initially compromise on them, this is not something I am willing to continue compromising on under any circumstances. Pyramid pinning and the induction ceremony. For both of these ceremonies, there were quite a few things that occurred. In order to continue with membership, I had to go to a ceremonial table, kneel down, and recite 2 different oaths. Regarding regarding my now lifetime commitment to Delta Sigma Theta. Prior to going up to the ceremonial table and reading the vow, I vividly remember the president stating that the oath I was about to take would follow me until final judgment and are now obligations that I can never be freed. And she quotes, "Now you are about to take upon yourself vows and obligations from which you can never be freed. They will follow you to the final judgment. Before we proceed further into the ceremony, I shall ask each of you by name to affirm that you, of your own free will and accord, seek admission into Delta Sigma Theta sorority by saying, 'I do.'" By definition, a covenant involves an agreement or promise sworn by an oath between two parties by which they swear allegiance to one another. In order to become a member, I had to make a pledge, swear an oath of allegiance, and perform a ritual ceremony that involved kneeling/bowing at an altar. As a Christian, God tells us in the Bible, Joshua 23:16, "When ye have transgressed the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and have gone and served other gods, and bowed yourself to them, then shall the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and ye shall perish quickly from off the good land which he hath given unto you." 2 Corinthians verses 5 through 10 tells us that we must all stand before Christ to be judged. This oath I took as a new initiate will follow me to when I appear before Christ to be judged. Why? Because it is a covenant, and that's how covenants work in the spirit realm. Altar. This is called a ceremonial table, but it is an altar. By definition, an altar is a table or place which serves as a center of worship or rituals. On this table, there were candles being lit, the vows, the torch of wisdom, the book to sign our names, and etc. The candle is burned to symbolize what the goddess Minerva represents, centering false gods/deities, in this case the goddess Minerva, as the foundation of an organization and initiation of its new members is a type of worship. Worship, the feeling of expression of reverence and adoration for a deity. God makes it very clear to his children that there is only one and living God, and that is Jesus Christ. His first commandment, "Thou shalt not serve no other gods before me." Exodus 20 verses 3 through 6. "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above or on earth beneath or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments." Goddess Minerva. Another conflict that I had with Minerva. I discovered that Minerva, although initially presented as merely a symbol, played a significantly more prominent role than one anticipated. Despite an earlier discussion during the intake process emphasizing that Minerva was not worshipped or praised, particularly given the sorority's foundation on Christian principles, the goddess Minerva was heavily incorporated into many intricate phases of my intake process, playing a large role in guiding me into quote-unquote Delta land. This unexpected emphasis on Minerva conflicted with my personal values, as I do not derive wisdom from the goddess Minerva. Additionally, I learned that Minerva is the organization's crest and official symbol after induction. Atop the crest sits goddess Minerva. As a Christian, I don't affiliate, partake, or wear anything that is symbolic of any other deity that is not God, including the Greek goddess. I also shall only receive and seek wisdom from God. Matthew verse 6 through 24. "No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon." Manipulation of the scripture. Additionally, during our first chapter meeting, I recall the president opening up the meeting with some Bible verses from Psalms. With these verses, they were misconstrued, taken out of context from the Bible to fit a Delta version. Another huge non-negotiable for me. As an organization built upon Christian principles, the above mentioned things go directly against the Lord and his word. Just because something is replicated in the image of God does not mean that it is of God and is a Christian principle. These aforementioned reasons involve idolatry, a sin that costs eternal life. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 9 through 10. This conviction has been placed within me by the Holy Spirit, and I must obey. Please inform me of the next steps or any paperwork necessary for me to be formally removed from the organization. This letter constitutes my official letter of denouncement. Thank you for taking the time to read this and for honoring my final decision. Best regards, Zora Maybell Sanders. Now, wow. Like, wow. That was a lot. And I think it most definitely was an expose. She talked about a lot, and she definitely made most of her reasoning to detach about her faith in Christianity. And as much as I could never fault or condemn anyone for finding God, refocusing God, and putting God foremost in their life, I do think there's a decent debate or response to her doing this. Just from looking into Greek life and specifically Black Greek letter organizations, I see that there's been a long-term debate on whether you can be a member and also serve God and be a devout Christian at the same time. And I know many people who are heavily involved in their churches or their faith, but also really good members of these organizations. And so as much as I do commend Zora for saying, hey, these are my reasons and it just wasn't for me, so I'm out. I also see the debate that there are people actively participating and a lot of Greek members saying that in no way, shape, or form do they hold any of these organizations over God. Now, I'm not a member, so I'm not sure the extent of the idea of worshiping any of these Greek goddesses, but I do think she was fair to say that you cannot serve two, and if you're taking verbal oaths or showing any idolatry, it could be a conflict of interest for many people. So I think the Christianity debate or the faith debate is just really how an individual sees it, because like I said, at least she stated her reasons and provided scripture to defend her reasons, and that's very fair. But at the same time, I have met and seen a lot of great Christians, let alone people who are leaders in Christianity, also be a part of these organizations without conflicts. So I think it's a personal spiritual thing dependent on an individual and your faith and your membership of these organizations within your personal life. Now, I saw a response to this and I thought it was pretty interesting and also a fair point from a Greek member. I was on another creator's page and this was in her comments. She said, "I don't mind denouncing for spiritual reasons, but let's be honest, many of us / them still find their idols to replace God with. Money, a relationship, work, secular music, even gospel music is often very secular, shopping, etc. Basically, unless we are Jehovah's Witnesses and not even on them, we're in a sackcloth and ashes. We all engage in various forms of idol and worship of false gods. Is any of it acceptable? Absolutely not. Will all of it be renounced to the same degree as sororities? Absolutely not." And I think this is a fair point, and I can see this as well. There's been a huge trend of people denouncing their affiliations with these organizations. I've seen it on TikTok, I've seen it on YouTube. I think there's even a YouTuber whose whole channel is based upon this. And as much as, again, I can't fault somebody for refocusing their faith, I do think there are other things that people prioritize and idolize with and without taking an oath to do so. And also people were saying things about how people take oaths to be a part of different medical organizations and police force and different things like that. So I do think that's a fair debate as well. The power of the tongue is a thing. So a lot of these stand pages for music artists or how much emphasis we put on our favorite things can all be considered idolatry in some way, shape, or form. And like this comment says, a lot of these things aren't getting denounced in the same way as a sorority would. Even though a lot of the sororities for the most part are more positive than a lot of the other things that we hold in our lives. From viewing it myself, I've always seen these women in communities, in high power positions, and just doing well for themselves or their org or their communities once again. I find it interesting that Zora did this and was very big on making it about her faith, but I do have to question where exactly was her faith prior to joining, as well as how did you not find research that may have added to what you experienced. I feel like in this day and age, there's enough resources and also people talking about some of the realities of Greek life that all of this information can be found on Google or on TikTok, because I've definitely seen my fair share of things on TikTok as well. And especially now, she just exposed a lot, which I see a lot of members of this organization are very upset about, and I get that. Like, I'll give her her credit for, okay, it contradicts my faith, but I have to ask honestly, how strong is your faith prior to joining? How extensive was your research? Because I feel like there's enough on YouTube alone where people talk about why they also denounce and how it contradicted their own faith. So if you were super duper Christian and did your research, and someone like myself who was not affiliated with any organization have seen these conversations, how did it not stop you from wanting to join? I just have to ask. So I did look and see that membership intake for Delta at Howard University is usually about every 2 years. So that means if Zora is a rising senior, that means she's going to be a senior in the fall. She just joined as a junior. And the last time there was an opportunity for her to join was possibly her freshman year. So I saw another comment online and someone said she is just getting attention. She did it in 30 days at the Alpha chapter after she begged somebody to sponsor her after 2 years. I think a lot of members are upset because she exposed a lot of sacred information and she denounced it very fast. She essentially took spots from other girls who really wanted it more than her, and she paid thousands of dollars to join, had a sponsor, was a devout interest, showed up to different events on campus, and really gave this a thorough effort for 2 years just for her to denounce and quit within 2 weeks. And again, this is the Alpha chapter, the founding chapter of the entire organization that has hundreds of chapters across the United States as well as internationally. That is a big deal to the members, and I understand that. So I think the uproar has more to do with the steps for her it took to just get there and then to throw it away so fast, and the ramifications of that when you consider other people. And I was even reading that there were a lot of girls who were legacies, meaning their mom or their grandmother is a member and they didn't get picked. And these girls may have been seniors where this was their last chance to join during undergrad. And I see how that is hurtful to those families who this is considered a tradition for them. But that comment also continues and says, before the sponsor's comment was deleted, she stated that Zora begged her for 2 years to become a Delta, and not once did she mention she was a Christian. And I'm like, That's interesting. So that's why people are angry, because she took away a spot from other young ladies who could have been a Delta. They said it was over 500 women interested to join this past semester. Another person said 30 days? Seems like she pledged with the intention to denounce for attention from Black content creators. Now she's popular. Watch she comes out with a brand next. And I think these comments are also interesting because, again, the process that it took for her to join was obviously very thorough. And at some point during the process, all of these things were evident. So to me, why not just quit during the process? And I get it, quitting is not always seen as the best thing to do. You should see things through. But I think it's very interesting and somewhat performative for you to have these convictions and non-negotiables throughout the process of joining, and then join, reveal your identity as a member to your whole entire campus, family, friends, wear the Greek clothing with the symbols and the letters and all of that, take pictures, be happy, but all this while you felt that you were going to leave as soon as it was all over. I have to point out that that is very peculiar because of how fast it happened. A lot of the denouncement videos that I've seen on YouTube just from researching to do this topic, these people were members for years before they said, you know what, I'm in a different part of my life, this doesn't serve my faith, and I no longer want to be affiliated. And they have the right to do that. However, for a member to join, say that she already had non-negotiables prior to joining, that makes me think that you knew something before you joined. And then she also begged somebody for 2 years to sponsor them, because from what I see, joining the organizations are not cheap. Getting a letter of recommendation and even just giving your time to showing that you're interested to the current members on your campus, to do all of that and do your research and then denounce after 2 weeks is kind of crazy. And I have to admit that. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about in regards to this topic is whether or not denouncing membership should be public or private. Because sorting through a lot of the comments, that was another issue that many current members had with what Zora did. So a lot of members were asking that if someone decides to denounce, then it's okay. However, it should be done quietly, meaning you should send your letter of resignation to your respective chapter or national headquarters and go about your business. Because it seems like there's a trend for a lot of people to denounce, but also make it very public, where they're also blasting a lot of sacred information that is a part of these organizations, which I do think is overall problematic. Now, other people are coming back and saying, well, a lot of the members are so loud and open in public when they join, so why do denouncers have to be quiet when they decide to denounce? And at first I did think this was a good argument, but I think a lot of people are looking at it from a non-member end, including myself. But when I actually thought about what Zora was writing, the actual joining of the organization is not necessarily done in public. There is a part of the end process that is the probate, which is where you see all of the ladies stroll in or walk in and march in, and they're all dressed in the same attire. In most cases, their faces are covered or something to hide their identity, until one by one they reveal themselves to their friends and family in the campus. Part of it is public, but I think some people are forgetting that there is still a private and exclusive aspect to joining prior to that probate, and that seems to happen before the probate. So I think what she should have done was, okay, go through the process, maybe join, and then have those personal convictions, and before that time in the probate, then decide, hey, this is not for me. But when she went out and she announced herself and she wore the colors and she wore the letters, there was still enough time to say, hey, I don't want to be a part of this. Zora said in order for her to actually become a member, she had to do A, B, and C, which the public didn't know exactly what that was until she exposed it. So I understand why some of the members are upset that she put out all of this information, knowing that she joined technically in a certain private manner and had time to quit before it got to this point. I think people are free to do what they want. We can't tell people what exactly to do, but I do see both sides of that debate. But I will definitely say that I think it's better done more privately for the sake of the individual that is actually denouncing, because now that this information has been spread, and these are things, again, that the general public didn't know, I do see the pending legal battle that she might face, and the fact that she's a senior, so she'll be on campus next semester. I feel like she might be ostracized, which is also very unfortunate. I think all in all, this was very interesting, and I think the reason why it blew up was because how fast she did it, what chapter she did it. I mean, this is Howard University. That's like the Ivy League of HBCUs, as well as the specific organization that she did this within. I decided to look into how many members are part of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated has the largest amount of members out of all of the sororities within the Divine Nine. So with numbers that are super huge like that, and most of the members possibly having a similar process, it's just very tricky with the spotlight that Zora has now placed on not only that chapter, but the organization as a whole, and definitely herself. I think eventually this will become old news, but it is a very big growing concern in Black Greek letter organizations, where you have a trend of people denouncing and information being spread that is supposed to stay amongst the organizations. So I think some of these organizations should get ahead of that and start having these members sign an NDA or some type of clause within their membership that says you can't talk about these things publicly, like ever. Because a lot of Greek members will encourage people to be discreet and not talk, but they're the main ones talking. A lot of things that the general public knows or assumes is from Greek people themselves. themselves. And if you watch any how to be Greek video on YouTube, even these members will tell you be discreet. But most of the people that are talking about who is wanting to join or who is joining or what goes on behind closed doors are the Greek members themselves. And then the non-Greeks are getting blamed for a lack of discretion when it's the members that are telling people things that nobody should know. So I think the national headquarters for all of these organizations need to get ahead of this because it's going to get worse. Some people think she did it for the clout, and I have to say, if her reasoning is Christianity, I think there were a lot of signs prior to her completing the process that those convictions could have and should have caused her to just say, hey, I'm out. This isn't for me. I'm not sure why she continued on in the process if she was so Christian. And with the trend of a lot of people denouncing or at the very least speaking up about the denouncements that they made years ago, and especially because of Christianity, this is all very popular right now. It does make me question, did she do this for attention? Because doing this after 2 weeks of joining, but after 2 years of preparing, the money that was spent, the spots that she took, the paraphernalia that was given to her, and everybody that helped her to get to this point, it is very questionable. But at the end of the day, I do not fault her for her Christian convictions. I am really interested to hear what members of Delta Sigma Theta have to say about this. So if you're a member and you feel away, let us know down below. But also if you're in any part of the Divine Nine, I'm also interested to hear what you have to say. But then I also want to hear from my Christians as well. What is your thought process on all of this? Because there are people who are Christian and also in Greek life, but there are people who feel that Greek life is an extension of idolatry and false worship. And being that a lot of people that have been in these organizations are using that same sentiment to denounce or caution other people, especially at this rate that I've seen, it's all very interesting and I would love to hear from y'all. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. Make sure you're streaming all of my music and we have new music coming. Okay. And lastly, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye y'all.
You on, who on, you on. All hail the queen, QC, yeah, she is risen. Presence is a gift, so I come with the ribbon. Internet told me stop rapping, I ain't listen to them. No, I really got more bars in the prison system, right? Yeah, one beef, step into the kitchen. Murder flows, you could suspect, I am not the victim. Beat queen, D's on that bitch like we with the Pistons. Red cherry, red bottoms, I know how to pick them. Always got a secret plan, I don't do the fighting. Shorty is a secret fan, yeah, she ghost riding. Brown skin beauty with a booty, showtime. Go off on a tangent, I don't need a cosign. 12 baddies, women that are cheap about a dozen. Hot girl straight up out the microwave oven. Gotta bring a chicken man before you get the stuffing. And this beat going crazy, snapping on percussion. Chioma at the top, I'm the #1 prospect. Beat from Lakia when she slid on Cosmic. Told him come here, boo, I'm tryna make your jaw stiff. I got no pics, but I wanna see your pockets. Big glossy lips, dry them out like a faucet. Speak chickenese, so I put them in a cockpit. Cooking in the studio, call me Dirty Crockett. Gingerbread baby running fast like Sonic. It's commendable, was a ceremony, but now it's a festival. New money now, so you gotta move a decimal. Presidential suite, and it's looking all congressional. I'm so delectable, pull your queen card, cause mine is a collectible. Better mind your business and stay off my genitals. Probably make them high, cause my body's like an edible. Wait, let me stop, cause I'm trying to be professional, damn. I know that's what y'all said when you heard that verse.